Another piece of the puzzle that I like is the emotional regulation skills are going to be so important for Sarah. Because for so many people, like I said earlier, they come in and they're like, I'm depressed, or they think they're bipolar, or they have anger management issues. And a lot of it comes down to just not understanding and regulating their emotions. So I love the example of the bull and the cow that I used earlier, because it allows space to kind of understand how they're reacting to emotions. So we do a lot of noticing where you feel emotions in the body. What does it feel like when you're sad? What does it feel like when you experience shame? What does it experience when you experience guilt? You know, I do a lot of education on emotions. I talk about how shame and guilt are tribal emotions. We only experience those in the context of other people. Shame and guilt are based on others typically. I experience shame because I feel like I upset my tribe, right? And that may or may not be true. So we're trying to really work through and understand those emotions. This is where mindfulness as a wave is so powerful. So emotions as a wave is an exposure exercise, it's a mindfulness exercise, and it's an emotional regulation tool. And so oftentimes I will introduce it as like psychoeducation, like I'm about to do, and then we'd actually do the mindfulness activity. So for most people, I will use that cow and bull analogy and then say, okay, here's the storm. And I want you to picture a beach. Okay, I want you to picture a beach, the sand, the water. And I want you to picture walking towards that beach. And maybe as you first step in the water, you kind of have that moment where you back up. You're like, oof, that felt like a lot, right? And then you start walking a little more, and it's okay. And you walk and you walk. Then it's like kind of that rougher water where you have to like really pick up your feet. You notice it, and you're, okay, I'm still going. And then you kind of have to jump. You know, you have to really work on the beach. So like I live in Jacksonville. We have a lot of riptide problems, which is kind of scary. And so like when you first get in that water, you have to work really hard through those waves, right? And then you might experience a wave that feels like a tsunami. And maybe it rips you all the way back to the shore. And you have to go back. But you keep going. You keep drudging through. And then you finally get to a place where you could just float and enjoy the water. Emotions are like waves. They come and they go. They're big and they're small. They're intense, and sometimes we barely feel them, right? Sometimes they hit us like a tsunami, and sometimes it's like a little annoyance. And the thing to remember is they come and they go. We can't stop them from coming. That storm is coming. Those waves are coming in all shapes and sizes. And so your urge is going to want to be to avoid the waves, but it's just like that cow, they keep coming. And I know that feels like the thing that you really want to do, and it's also the thing that's drowning you. And so if we can learn how to ride the waves, to be a better surfer, to literally float and immerse ourselves in these emotions, then we can manage them. They feel less scary, and we feel confident in riding out the storm, right? And so it is this weird dialectic that I'm asking you to do. Every part of you wants to run, and I'm telling you the antidote is to float in it, right? And so what I want you to do is to learn to experience the emotion, that it's going to come and that it's going to go, right? So I like to tell Sarah, you know, I'm doing a brain game, and part of the brain games is learning the roots of words. And so the root of happy, that hap, right? Hap had hazard, is luck. Happiness is luck. It's fleeting. Not that we cannot experience happiness, but we can't hold on to it either. We can try to create events that elicit that emotion, but that emotion is going to come and go. That's fleeting, right? The goal is to learn how to be a better surfer, because the less impacted I am about the waves and the better surfer I am, the more I can manage whatever wave comes my way. And part of that is signing up for the pain, not the suffering you've experienced in the past, but the pain, right? So we're going to learn how to stop avoiding and to allow space for it without it controlling us. It being there, experiencing it in the body without adding all this other stuff, without adding all the layers of shame and guilt, and just allowing space for the emotion. So a lot of the work that we do with emotions is acceptance, while also creating those very basic behavior activation strategies, building those life worth living goals, building those value-based goals, teaching those just daily positive activities. So really working on the exposure of emotions and trying to avoid avoidance, and at the same time finding ways to increase positive emotions. So that's a lot of the emotional regulation work I'll do with Sarah.